America's army of human guinea pigs and how they were used in secret drug experiments.
I can't remember a thing. I can't remember. Come on, they all want this stuff.
For some, the nightmare never ends.
I don't have a heart because of it. Because I can't touch my kids. And I can't tell my wife what I feel.
Good evening. It's worth remembering that the Cold War had its price. The economies of both superpowers were skewed towards arms spending, and the world is still feeling the after effects. But individuals too paid a price. In the race for arms superiority, chemical weapons were used on unsuspecting human guinea pigs. In the United States, not only did the Army conduct these experiments, they also filmed them. Tonight, we show that uncensored film for the very first time, despite the Pentagon's attempts to withdraw it. It's an exclusive look at how the U.S. Army targeted its own people long before the enemy could. It's the story of a bad trip to Edgewood.
I've served twice in Vietnam. I have never had anything that was so terrifying as that experience with the LSD. Never. I thought I was going crazy. But I didn't know what crazy was. It was that bad. I couldn't define crazy, but I knew that whatever this was, it was horrible.
"90 miles north of Washington, D.C., stands Edgewood Arsenal, Maryland. From World War I to the present day, it has been the center of the U.S. Army's research into chemical warfare. Within its laboratories, bizarre experiments took place. By giving a cat LSD, Edgewood Arsenal scientists could turn nature upside down. Animals were always tested before humans. Army scientists wanted to learn about the dose levels of nerve agents and chemical compounds, what would incapacitate and what would be lethal in an attack, and how their troops could defend themselves under attack. Goats were used as guinea pigs to test the efficiency of gas masks in a chemical explosion. But experiments were not confined to animals. James Ketchum, a retired Army psychiatrist. At Edgewood, his job was to ensure that the bright young soldiers recruited from Army bases across America were fit to be medical volunteers. Then, he gave them chemical agents and measured their performance.
I really don't think it would have been possible to develop this information without using human volunteers. You cannot generalize from the results in animals to the human. The human is generally much more sensitive to a given dose of a drug than any animal. And his ability to do so many things that animals can't do makes it impossible to predict the effects on that kind of behavior from animal work alone.
They came around one day and called a formation, you know, everybody get in a group. And they started asking about who would like to go to Maryland to test new gas masks, over-the-counter cough medicine stuff. And I was thinking about it, and I had been doing a lot of guard duty, KP duty, you know. And that was really sickening. Well, when they said 3-day pass every weekend, no guard duty, no KP, and all you had to do was this, I just snatched my hand in the air and volunteered, you know.
From my understanding of their presentation, I would be tested riot control gear, stuff like tear gas, riot control gases, and equipment. And I had no idea that what actually happened to me would have been done to me while there.
Some guys stuck their head in a sealed, like a cubicle thing, and they sprayed gas in their face. Some guys was operating tanks and stuff, and they sprayed it a cloud. They had to drive through the things.
The testing of humans lasted from 1955 to 1975. 7,000 soldiers were used as guinea pigs. Half were tested with psychochemicals, mind-altering drugs like atropine, scopolamine, and BZ. But the GIs were never told what kind of drugs they were being given or what effect they would have.
When they came in to give me the injection, they told me they was going to give me this injection. I questioned it. What is this for, you know? Well, I said, what's in that? What's in that? I want to know what you're giving me. Don't ask questions. This is something that you're told to do. I said, well, what is this going to do to me? Because I was kind of apprehensive. I was getting scared at the time. I said, what if, you know, what are they giving me here? There's nothing wrong with me. I don't need any medication or anything. So, and I asked, well, what's the purpose of this injection? You know, never mind. Don't say nothing. Just do what you're told. Just like that. That was all.
Several weeks later, on a windy, bitter, cold day, the same volunteer ran the course again. This time, he received a small dose of a chemical compound just before he started his run.
The chemical involved was PCP, better known today as the dangerous and illegal drug angel dust.
He felt compelled to disobey his instructions not to touch the platform when he jumped. Although his vision was not impaired, he found it difficult to focus his attention on the next objective. His physical actions were noticeably slower. His motor coordination was disrupted because of the compound's effect.
PCP gives the subject the delusion of unnatural strength.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, sir.
Do you? Are you cold?
No, I'm not cold at all.
Are you tired?
No, I'm not tired. Well, I could run.
Could do some more, could you?
Yes, sir. I could run. I run 100 miles right now.
Is that right? You
That's
feel
right.
Pretty pepped up, huh?
Uh-huh. I run through it, and now I feel good, and I'm not tired, and I can run through it again. You see what I mean?
Yeah, hardly. But, did Sergeant Ditchkus give you any instructions about what you were supposed to do tomorrow?
Sergeant Ditchkus? Yes. let me see. What was I supposed to do tomorrow? Tomorrow, what is today, Thursday?
Today's Thursday, that's right.
Today's Thursday, uh-huh. Well, tomorrow, wait a minute here.
You lost some buttons, sir.
I lost some buttons.
Thousands of volunteers received doses of a secret compound called BZ. A small dose would lead to complete stupor for 3 days, followed by loss of memory. The Army wanted to see how quickly different doses could incapacitate their fittest and most intelligent soldiers. And between 1955 and 1967, Edgewood Arsenal was responsible for testing 740 soldiers and 900 civilians with one of the most powerful drugs known to man, the hallucinogen LSD.
People in my field were well aware that LSD was a potent drug, that it could cause deviant responses, that people could do dangerous things to themselves and others, act impetuously, and so forth. And so we had to think about that a great deal. I didn't want to do any studies with LSD until we had a secure environment. And when we had a secure environment, by which I mean a fully padded room, a nursing staff around the clock, and when we had developed screening to the point that we could, we thought, identify individuals who were at risk for having a psychotic response to LSD, then we tentatively and cautiously began to give small doses.
2 hours later, the squad, all except the drill sergeant, now drugged with LSD, again was ordered to fall in. The response was not the same. Notice the volunteer who salutes several times. 5 minutes later, his severe depression caused the medical officers to end his participation in the test. But in marching, the drugged squad, although starting fairly well, gave a sluggish and ragged performance. After a few minutes, the men found it difficult to obey orders, and soon the results were chaotic. There was much laughter as the group attempted to give expression to inner emotions. This elation was group supported, and an individual who was separated from the group would show severe disturbance.
Yeah. Let's get going.
Volunteers were given doses of LSD between 3 and 10 times higher than the normal acid trip. Army records show in one case a man received a dose 100 times higher.
I laughed for seems like hours on end. I laughed and laughed and laughed until I couldn't hold my sides any longer. My sides were sore from laughter.
It's like looking upwards and seeing spirals of glittering colors coming down, unwinding, vivid colors, different colors, colors that are really indescribable. I don't know, never seen colors like that.
Subtract 7 from 98, please. 90. 91. All right, and continue. What will come next? All right, what will come next?
I feel incapacitated.
Incapacitated, yeah.
He's having a reaction that's a little different from the ordinary, where most of the effects are bodily sensations. And in fact, he made the comment, I feel incapacitated. I think he must have been reading the brochure or something in advance. But this was a librarian and a very intelligent guy, and